Grothendieck's capacity for abstract thought is legendary. He rarely made use of specific equations to grasp at mathematical truths, instead intuiting the broader conceptual structure around them to make them surrender their solutions all at once. My name is Anna Imagination, and this is the Ethical Asshole. Welcome, and I am your host, the Salty Bitch. This is from The Guardian. That excerpt was, "He was a mystic in delirium. Was this hermit mathematician a forgotten genius whose ideas could transform AI, or a lonely madman?" So, I am speaking on behalf of every misunderstood genius madman out there, and it's infuriating. There is nothing more degrading and insulting than an outsider with fourth perspective comprehension gap trying to explain abstract and metaphysics. It's infuriating, and I am just about up to here with it. However, on all fairness of the genius mistaken as a madman, there is one science that is mandatory for all of this. And in fact, it was their madness that inspired me to say, fuck this shit, I'm not gonna let that happen to me. I'm gonna master this bitch called language, which is the one thing that separated me from everybody else. It doesn't matter how good your ideas are. If you cannot speak it clearly, you will be thought of as insane. When I was mentally ill, people thought I was insane. Most people with my brain do not go around and create award-nominated novels. And when I wrote Broken, at the height of my mental illnesses, actually written by two of my alters, not me, one of the things that psychologists came back with was, "Oh my God, you're sane." Thanks. They were surprised at how sane I was in the middle of my madness. And the very first thing I had to learn that I knew, but I couldn't even articulate, was insanity is an inability to communicate. Our ability to communicate is literally the foundation of sanity. Ignorant people will judge a person's logic based on their communication skills, not their logic, not their sanity, their communication skills. So now we've got a bunch of idiots trying to understand genius who don't even have communication skills. And instead of being able to go, oh, is this insanity, which is actually questioning one's logic? Is it a lack of communication skills? And that's about all you got. Communication skills or logical sanity. Logical sanity or logical insanity is your ability to string sense together in comprehension. Now, that's one skill, but it's another skill to be able to articulate it in such a way that other people understand. And ignorant people are too stupid to know the difference. And people who have poor communication skills can't articulate this, even though they are very logically sane. So one of the things that I got a lot of bullshit from, especially from psychologists, was you must be insane because you can't make yourself clear. So that when they read my book Broken, they went, holy shit, you have logical sanity. You're sane, but you're mentally ill. How can you be sane and mentally ill? It's because I have communication skills. I have the one thing that most people lack, communication skills. But if you have communication skills, no, you can't have communication skills unless you have logical sanity. But a lot of people also don't have logical sanity. Now, you also, and there's levels of logical sanity. You have your logical sanity of feelings. That's really important, people. You also have logical sanity of feelings and description. Feelings plus definition. You also have logical sanity of feelings, definition, and articulation. And you also have logical sanity of, let's skip over here, theory and logic and math, but you may struggle with interpreting your feelings. So logical sanity, logic, is literally the entire sequence of comprehension and the sequence of A to B to C to D to string together an entire sense so that it does make sense, hence sentence. And you have to have the ability to transfer all of this from the emotional aspect into the word aspect, linguistics aspect, into the oral skill or the writing skill. And that's where a lot of people fail at. So you have your feelings, being able to interpret and carve your feelings into something comprehensive, into a language, and then transfer that from oral and or into writing. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, technically 4. You have 2 pathways, just one can go that way, one can go that way, but you have a 4 pathway or a 4-step translation happening. 4 steps of translation. Now, a scientist usually is not good with articulating their feelings, which is why the scientist really struggles breaking some of this down into simplistic forms. Now, a person won't even reach this level of comprehension until they're a master skill level. So you have to be a master skill level, but you don't just be a master skill level at X. You also have to have the mastered communication skill. And this is where a lot of people mess this up. You might be really, really good at physics, but if you have a really poor communication skill, you're not going to be able, your physics knowledge gets trapped in your brain. And that's what I ended up with for 40 years, was this massive amount of knowledge that I could not articulate because I did not have the communication skill developed. Now, I could write, so I wrote everything, but I couldn't speak it. And this is interesting because you can read my books. I was 35 when I wrote those books 10 years ago. But if you look at my YouTube channel, I was not speaking the same way I was writing. Not at all. And some of the ideas were not even forming properly because I needed the language abstractic to pull all of this off. We are talking about linguistics on a level. We're talking about language on such a level that it doesn't even exist yet. It does. I'm discovering it. And I don't have a name for this creature. We need to call it something. What should we call this thing? Integrated linguistics. I would call this integrated linguistics. It's on the other side of story. That's where it is. It's on the other side of story, which is on the other side of biology, which is on the other side of science. So there's like all your science, and then you got all this other stuff. And this is where I live. It's amazing over here. So it's so much fun. It's like a playground. But I got over here and I went, and then I was so excited and I went to you and I went, I do this. And I ran into that a lot. Nietzsche was really bad at it. Nietzsche did not have a great communication skill. And then you've got outsiders with 4th perspective comprehension gap going, all right, let's see what we can say here about Nietzsche. And I'm going, oh my God, please don't. You're an outsider and you have the 4th perspective comprehension gap. Why are you trying to translate? And they have no idea that they are this ignorant. And now I'm sitting here reading this article with this beautiful mind. And I'm going, in isolation, Alexander Grothendieck seemed to have lost touch with reality, but some say his metaphysical theories would contain wonders. I can tell you right now what this man's problem is because I'm stuck here. I was there for a while. I had this problem. So I'm going to give you the inside. That's what I should call this, the insider's POV. This is the insider's point of view with someone who doesn't have 4th perspective comprehension gap. This is fucking lonely shit. This is lonely as fuck. To be able to see something like Grothendieck, like Nietzsche, and go, holy fucking shit, I am Zarathustra. This stuff is amazing. And not be able to say it to anybody who can understand it. It is lonely. I'm actually studying the psychology right now on lonely and comprehension, which is a part of integrated linguistics. How loneliness is absolutely part. Oh my God, this is amazing. And mathematical psychology. It's like all these cocktails, and I just love it so much. But it's this loneliness on such a level. There's pioneering, and this is it. It's called the pioneer. I'm gonna call it right now. We got to give this thing name because this is the problem. Is you're a pioneer first of all, which means it's just you on the moon, farther beyond the final frontier. You are in the D quadrant. You are in the D quadrant and of the abstract. You are in the D quadrant of the abstract, and you're a pioneer. You're there because you funded your own research. So NASA didn't even send you there. The Federation didn't send you there. Oh no, you funded your own research. So you decided, I'm Cochrane. That's what I am. I'm Cochrane. And okay, please tell me I have Star Trek fans in the audience, because come on, people, come on. So I'm Cochrane. And it's after I've discovered the warp drive, but not just the warp drive. No. This is the abstract. So it's the warp drive of the abstract, and I've got a flux capacitor. That's what's going on. I found the flux capacitor and the warp drive, and I went, what if we put them together? Oh, yes, that's what I've done. That is exactly what I've done. I built the flux capacitor and the warp drive, and I put them together. And now I'm in the abstract, and I'm off at the end of the universe. I am at the end of the universe of the abstract. I am at the end of the abstract universe. And this is where I live and do my research. It's lonely. You have no idea. So this is where I live with my flux capacitor. And every day I'm just sitting here like poking up my flux capacitor and my warp drive. But I am at the end of the abstract universe. And then I'm lost. I'm not lost in space. I'm not lost in space because I got the Philosopher's Compass and the AIDNS, which is my abstract interdimensional navigational system. So I can't get lost in the abstract because I have my point of relativity with my triangulation. I'll figure it out. I've taken the nerd thing and I like jacked it up to a level. Nerds barely start to understand me. Like, that's where I'm at. It is lonely. And it develops another language. And then when you start developing a language, and this is where I walked into the, all right, I got because I kept going, and no one gets it. What I get is a bunch of six perspective woke people going, oh yeah, I understand. No, you don't. You don't even get flux capacitor metaphors. Trust me, you don't get this. So it's been very lonely. Very lonely. I have dealt with suicide because of it, because it is that lonely. And I've sat here and analyzed, why am I dealing with loneliness and suicide at this level of comprehension? Well, it's because we are social animals and it is that lonely. And I'm going, what is the psychological requirement of me speaking to people so I'm not lonely? Like, what is, and I'm watching things like Castaway. That's an understatement. Just saying. Like, Castaway. Okay, I had a Wilson. All right, I just got to say it. His name was Eric, and he was my imaginary friend since I was 12 and on. And so I get Wilson. Well, everybody in the world was laughing at Wilson. I was crying because I had my Wilson. And then you've got these stupid morons with fourth perspective comprehension gap outsiders going, oh, they're madman. No, we're not. You ignoramus, you're a troglodyte. No, we are not insane. You are just that ignorant. You are so ignorant that in order for you to even begin to understand me, I have to give you 30 years of metaphysical transformation in order to even comprehend. I am not a madman. You are that stupid. It's like you've evolved into the next evolution of humanity while I'm walking around with a bunch of Neanderthals. And then I see someone like this beautiful man. And even the title, is he a madman? Is fucking offensive. No, dipshits. He's not a madman. You don't speak the language. He is speaking abstractic. I speak abstractic. So I wrote and composed the language for abstractic, just so I could bridge the gap of communication. Now, I'm a linguist, which he wasn't, which is where he was at a disadvantage. Nietzsche was not a linguist, which is why he was at a disadvantage. And this is where it really starts to get difficult, is I studied this loneliness that all of them studied, that all of them mastered. And then I watched Nietzsche, I watched Machiavelli, I watched Karl Marx, and I watched Ayn Rand, and I went, oh my God, your level of misinterpretation screams fourth perspective comprehension gap. When you're in the abstract, you are so far gone into the pioneer. And there is a language that is required to even translate and understand, but you don't know that language. The language doesn't exist because we're pioneering this shit. We're making it up as we go along, but you have to know linguistics. The problem is if you don't know linguistics, and most of them don't, then they're not going to be able to translate. Now, fortunately, because my mother researched genius children when she was pregnant and early teens, or late teens, she was able to set me up for this so that I developed a serious passion for linguistics as a child, and that prepared me for this moment. So now I'm able to go, okay, here's my linguistic studies. And I studied Latin, I studied ancient Greek, I studied Old Persian, and I went, all right, I understand language. So now I can use integrated mathematics in logic to start breaking down the linguistics, which is what is linguistics, to bridge the gap between reading, writing, theater, stage, and those 9 fucking courses, 9, that Plato had me study because he wanted me to study all of the epics. Now I know why. It's so I can articulate metaphysical transformation when I get there. Thank you, Plato. I appreciate it. I did not appreciate it at the time. I was like, 9? You want me to study 9 different kinds of poetry? Really? Okay. You're the master. So I did. And I'm so glad he made me do that. 9 types, 9 styles, 9. 1 for every muse. My daughter points out that this is part of the Tesla's 369 method, which is 3 times 3 equals 9. Yeah. The muses, the 9 ethical, it's the 9 stages. By the way, the 9 muses are actually one of the ethical perspective stages. Isn't science amazing? So I realized that if I did not learn the language, which is the conduit of human connection, I was not going to be able to translate any of this to you guys. So then I would be like all of these other people, translating and saying all this stuff and it getting lost in translation. So that's what's going on, is this massive lost in translation because of the fourth perspective comprehension gap. So this took me this is all I was doing for the last year. I started this research in 2023, December of 2023 is when that is when I started this research. This is by December, I was realizing that I couldn't even articulate. I could not. Now, I cannot talk to fourth perspectives. I actually was on the phone the other day with a fourth perspective. It was nuclear warfare going. I was like, I can talk to 6 perspectives. I can talk to 7s. I can talk to 8s. And then I realized, oh my God, I can use movie culture to translate all of this stuff. Thank God for movie culture. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm dealing with the same stuff as everybody else, as in, as Grothendieck of, do I become a hermit and just shut myself away? Like, I'm dealing with that. I'm in the back going, should I just become a hermit? Because there were days where this language, honestly, when I found Inside Out 2, that was like I can communicate to people. I can communicate to people. And so I'm literally learning pop culture now via movie and books. I need to really watch Game of Thrones. Try again. I can do it. I can do it. Okay. It's so hard to get through. It's so hard to get through. Oh, it's so hard to get through. I don't want to watch it anymore. Okay. Oh my God, it's so gross. I hated Game of Thrones. I was there for Ned Stark. I'd have to tolerate Joffrey. I couldn't handle him beyond first season. Everyone else is sitting there going, oh my God, Joffrey is such a dick. And I'm like, how did you guys endure it? Because I didn't even make it through the first season. They killed Ned Stark and I was like, well, I'm done. I'm all done. That's the only reason why I was watching this. I have no emotional investment anywhere else in the show. Like, no, I don't give a shit. Everyone can die and I'm okay because Ned Stark dies. And then I found out they kill anyone anyway. So I was like, all right. So I I'm like studying pop culture just to find references to use as metaphors to talk to people, because this work is so advanced. And I got on the phone with this lady, and she was supposed to be my social marketer. My social marketer. And I'm like, and I've been talking to scientists and physicists all day and neuroscientists. So I can prattle on a few of my words and they'll be like, holy shit, I know what you're doing. Yeah, thank you. I'm integrating. He goes, you're integrating all of it. Yes, I'm integrating all of it. And then I found more science beyond biology and I integrated that. Oh, wow. And then they're taking notes. And I'm like, yeah, there you go. And I'm going, okay, all right. How do you explain it? And you can't dumb it down. There is no dumbing it down. You've got to translate it. So this is where I'm at currently in my work, is how to translate all of this stuff from the frontier of beyond science. It's literally the world beyond science. And this is great. Thank God for Plato. Thank God. I love you, Plato. So I'm going, all right, let's take up my theatrical studies. I can do this. And all right, so I come in peace. This is one of my favorite things to say. I come in peace. I come to you from a land beyond the land of science. What you guys know as science, it's a ladder. That's what they don't tell you also. And that's the other thing is oh my God. Okay, so it's like, you know that moment, oh, I can do this. See, pop culture. You know that movie with Bruce Willis? What is it called? It's the one with the scientists. No, they're not scientists. It's the one where all the idiots who do well drilling go to NASA, and all the idiots tell all the genius people how stupid they are. Because that wasn't written by a bunch of fourth perspectives. All right, what was that movie called? Not Deep Impact. The other one. What is it called? No, not Down Periscope. That one's great too. No. Bruce Willis. What is it called? Liv Tyler. Come on, people. I got to think here. No, not Deep Impact. I just said that. Oh, I got. This is driving me nuts. I got to look it up now. Damn it. Oh, Bruce. Well, it starts with an A. With a meteor that crashes into the world. Armageddon. That's right. Armageddon. All right. So it's like an Armageddon when they get the oil drillers and they come in and they walk into NASA and they're looking at this capsule that's going to shoot them up there, and it's going to get put on the asteroid, and they're going to drill. And Bruce Willis and his team are going through this contraption, and they're like, what is this stupid thing? What have you guys got here? And he starts pulling it apart like, what's that cost you? That's where I'm at. I'm Bruce Willis in that saying, going, what the fuck have you guys done with the educational system? I leave you guys for 2,000 years. And this is what you guys do to the educational system? No wonder why everyone is so stupid. Oh my God. First of all, it's all out of order. You should not be studying this until you've learned this. You've missed the entire linguistics, logic, and mathematics. How the fuck are you teaching them mathematics if you haven't even given them integrated mathematics? What the hell is this mess? So I feel like an alien who's come down to planet Earth after 2,000 years of an absence. I gave you, well, okay, so the I in this conversation is the ancient Greek educational system that I received from Plato, Pythagoras, Zoroaster. They put it in my brain. They signed it. Greeks were here. It's really funny they do that. And I'm going, oh, so now I've got these things in my brain where I relate to 2,000 years ago. So I feel like I'm an ancient Grecian. I really feel like I'm an ancient Grecian because that's my educational system. You guys need to learn what an educational system really does to you, because then you'd be like, holy shit, and we let the government do this? Yeah, that's right, guys. You let the government do this to you. So an educational system is a cultural seed. It's a cultural seed. And when you sit down and choose an educational system, you are literally choosing a seed. Which one you're going to put in your brain. Yeah, that's right. So you decided. You didn't decide. That's the problem. No one decided. Everyone decided for you. So somebody else decided. Somebody who knew nothing whatsoever about education decided to put together a seed, having no idea what they were actually building. And they decided to put the seed inside every one of your brains. That is what they did to you. And then the seed unfolded, but they didn't know how to build the seed. Pythagoras mastered this skill, and he taught it to me in the right order of operations So I replicated it, which is what my educational system is a replication of Pythagoras's, of Zoroaster's, of King Solomon's, going, hey guys, I got the actual seed, and this seed is 100% identical to what Mother Nature wanted us to have. Now, you're going to walk away with a severe passion for ancient Greek culture. That's them signing it. But other than that, it is 100% identical to Mother Nature. Aside from that, it is literally everything your brain needs, your subconscious mind. It's extraordinary. And you'll be really, really healthy. But you're going to have a serious passion for ancient Greek culture because they signed it, which I think is kind of, well, it's a little dirty. But, you know, when you build it, you get naming rights. So they signed it. So that's how they signed it. So that's what you got. You got a seed. But you got a bunch of morons about 150, 200 years ago who decided to just wing it without having any idea what they were actually doing. And they assembled a culture seed. And then they put it inside the mind of every one of you and every one of your children and every one of your children's children and every one of your parents and every one of your grandparents and every one of your great-great-great-great-grandparents until you're all just a bunch of idiots because an idiot built the culture seed. So what you need is an updated, corrected seed. That's an education seed. This is an educational system. And I got the seed and I got it into my brain and I'm like, yes, I got it. And now I'm looking at this mess and I'm just going, oh my God, what is this mess? And it's such chaos. First of all, it's chaos. It's all right. Well, we heard about these educational systems. So that you got 18 of them, guys. You got 18 to choose from. 18. Now, of those 18, they are broken into 6 groups. And you got the third group only. They cut out the first group. They cut out the second group. They gave you the third group that has 3 inside of it. And then they skip the 4th and the 5th group. And then they give you the 6th group. So you got the 3rd and the 6th grouping only. And they removed the 1st, the 2nd, the 4th, and the 5th. And that's why we are all stupid. Is because your educational system literally consists of 2/6, 1/3 of the actual education you should have had in the wrong sequence. That's it. 1/3 of the actual education you need in the wrong sequence. That is why everyone is so stupid. I think that's the first time I've been able to break this down. So what you need is the right sequence with the other missing 2/3 pieces. And of the 1/3 that you received, of one of those two sixes that you received, one of them isn't even necessary. That's only for people who want to go over to that section, which is the physics, chemistry, and ontology people. So they should, or biology, I'm sorry. And you should never learn biology first. That's the other mind-blowing thing, is they taught you biology first when it's last. And I'm like, why did they do that? I remember when they taught me biology in the 6th grade, and I'm like, this doesn't even begin to make sense. Wait, you can't study biology until you have studied, wait for it, chemistry, ontology, and physics, plus math and logic and calculus, as well as reading, writing, theater, stage, literature, arithmetic, integrated mathematics, and sculpting, drawing, painting, and music, singing, dancing. Like I said, the educational system in the United States is the worst thing in the world. I'm just like, what are you doing? And then I got educators coming up to me going, I'm an educator. Oh, I see. You're an outsider with 4th perspective comprehension gap trying to do something that you know nothing about. So you're the one responsible for this mess. I wouldn't be bragging that you're an educator. I would keep my mouth shut about that. So I'm over here as a pioneer in the beyond the science. And I got to translate all of that over into something that everyone will understand. But when I try and do that, we have a serious, 2/3 of your education is missing, and you learned what you did learn out of sequence. and I'm supposed to do marketing. And I'm going, where do I even begin? And then you've got people who hear the work that we're doing with the Radical Global Healing Plan. And they say stuff like, oh, it's too good to be true. Do you have any idea how mathematically incorrect that is? First of all, that isn't even a constant or a statistics. That has absolutely no relevancy whatsoever in whether or not something is or will not work, or is not true. It is irrelevant. So I don't know why you're bringing it up. Second of all, if you actually look at the fact that what we are doing is solidly founded in the right sequencing of math, logic, and physics, and if you receive the ancient Greek educational system with the right sequence, with 3/3 or 1/2 of the entire educational system, you'd find out that it's quite probable, very easy to do, highly likely, and right on time. You're just that ignorant. So trying to explain to those people what I've got over here to translate it into something they can understand. And the education is so abysmal. So I'm going, okay, here's the problem number one. The problem number one is the uneducated mass. And now I'm going, if we dumb it down, it's actually a problem because it nourishes them being dumbed down. We need to bring them up, but we can't even communicate with them at this point. So we have a serious communication problem. And then I've got outsiders, outsider know-it-alls. Oh, they are the worst. Outsider know-it-alls are the people who are on the outside who know it all on the inside when they've never been on the inside. They're really noisy and they're all over the place. So we've got outsider know-it-alls, we've got communication gaps, and we've got the education handicap. There's no other word for it. It is an education disability. An education disability. Meanwhile, I'm over there in the pioneering world with the linguistics and the abstract. And I'm going, all right, I accumulated the abstract. And then translating that abstract. So the abstractic language translates the abstract, but it doesn't translate it into common language, which is the material plane. So you guys all live in the material plane. And the abstractic language is the language of the material plane. So we got two languages now. We got material plane language and the abstractic plane language. So now it's trying to bridge the gap between the abstractic language and the material plane language. But most people don't even know that the abstract world even exists. They're going, oh, that's fiction. Oh, God. Fiction is what outsiders who don't know anything about this or the first perspective comprehension gap gives name to something they know nothing about, which is why they are outsiders who know it all. So now it's trying to figure out how to translate abstractic into the material plane equivalent, but there is no material plane equivalent. That's the problem right there. Whenever you translate a language, you have to translate it to the equivalent, but there isn't one, which is the problem. So now I'm sitting here going, how am I going to translate the abstract plane language over to the material plane language when there is no equivalent over here in which to relate it to? There's no thing over here that I can grasp to say. Now, I might be able to borrow from some science fiction films. I may be able to borrow from some movies, and that's where I'm leaning toward pop culture. What is this? Material. Yeah. So I wonder if that's related to maternity and mother. That'd be interesting. Birth. No, that's related. So trying to, interesting. Interesting. So trying to pull it from the abstract over to the material, it's not going to land if there is no equivalent. This is what we see with a lot of languages, like Japanese does this. Nakama is a great example. Nakama is a Japanese word. There's a lot of words in the Japanese language that have no English equivalents, so they can't translate over. So trying to explain what nakama means to somebody in English, I've tried this many times. Let's see it one more time to see if I can pull it off this time. Let me pull from all of my knowledge of the abstract and see if I can pull it that way. A nakama is someone. Nope, just there is no English equivalent. There's no English equivalent. It's a feeling. It's a feeling that I can't. It's a state of being. It's a relationship. It's more than a relationship. It is a state of being that you have with someone. And this is really it, is people think, oh, I have a relationship. No, relationships are related to. You have I'm relative to this person, therefore there's a relationship. This is a state of beingship. That's what I'm trying to say to you guys. A nakama is a state of beingship. Oh yes, a state of beingship. State of being is different than relation. State of being versus relation. So relation is you stand over there, I stand over here. Oh, look, we are related. Now you're looking in ratio 2. Now you're comparing 2 to measure a distance. But if you're in the exact same space, then you are in the state of being. This is what being in love means. It's the state of being. That is not a relationship. That is a beingship. Really, it's a beingship. It's an existence ship. Nakama is not a relationship. It is an existence ship. It is you being in the state of a certain mind with someone. And it's the beingship that connects you, not because you're related, because you are in the same place with them. And when you are in the same place with them, cellular, circuit, triangulating on the emotion, triangulating on the feeling, using words to carve out the actual feeling. Now I got nakama, but there is no English equivalent. So I'm going to get this. It's shared nourishment. Like a twin. It's almost what twins experience. It's that. Growth. The nourishing of you nourishes me. Nakama. The nourishing of you nourishes me. And reciprocity. It is the reciprocated. Nourishment of you nourishes me. And there it is. The reciprocated nourishment of you nourishes me. Nakama. There. Now that is translating the emotional state of being or the feeling state of being over into a definition. We haven't even gotten the word yet. That's just the definition. So the definition of that over to this would be the reciprocated nourishment of you nourishes me. Summarize this. Name, sake, name. Wow, it's amazing, that name. Nakama. Name. Nam. That is the energy that matches the feeling. So I say name or nam, and it absolutely matches perfectly the feeling. Reciprocated nourishment of you nourishes me. One more word, something that translates into English that you would understand. Name. Twin. Reflection. Reflect. Reflect. It starts with an R. Name. So this is literally what we do. It's finding the match, the equivalent of the energy matched to the physics, the truth that's already there. And when you find the right name, it matches the actual etymological meaning of it. And nakama was invented by the Japanese, who was at a further ethical stage than the rest of the world, which is why they have a word for it already and we don't. And we'd have to find the English equivalent, but the word doesn't exist. Now, this is what I've got with my partner. Which is what I'm using, is I'm using the emotions with him to put this to word. It's nakama. He's my nakama. And it's name, family, kin, name, kin. No. See, it's definitely reflect. I need to go look in biology at seeds, fertilization, because it's something. It's like the relationship, and it's not symbiotic. Symbiosis is something that came to mind a lot, but it's so much more than symbiosis. So much more than symbiosis. Some. name some. Ooh, a name some. Some. Integrated. Oh, that's beautiful. Some. Oh, name some. Name some. The summation. It is a summation. It's you coming together. It's the integration. It's an integrated name, integrated reflection. Oh, that's some is very close to it. So it's finding the right words to, and once you find the word, oh, it feels so right. Like once you find the word, you get this overwhelming, there's the name. And it's amazing because it's already there. It already exists. You got to discover it. It's why I call it the cognitive core. The cognitive core is an example of this, where I call it the cognitive core, and people will hear it and go, oh my God, that is like so. It's like, yeah, it's etymology. It's the way, cognitive core. It's a core and it's cognitive. So it's a cognitive core. And perspective scope. So you have the cognitive core processing. The words and this is what people don't understand about linguistics. The words are already there, just like the numbers are, waiting to be discovered. They're not something you invent. You discover them. Oh, this is the conversation we all need to have. Words are not invented. They're discovered. And this is the science of discovering the words. It's reverse engineering the word, the sound, right out of Mother Nature. Ignorant people think they're discovered or think they're invented. So they invent words. And you can tell when a human invents them. They're man-made and it's crap. It's like, that's not accurate. They're discovered. And because they don't know that they're discovered, for like mom and dad, a baby discovers the word mom, which is why we've got Ima and mom, and why all the languages in all the world has the same mama sound from an infant, because the child discovers the word. No matter what language, no matter what region, that child will discover the word. And we discover our words like for the first, that this is what feeling is. This is the stage of discovering the words. And it goes along faster if people are using the right words. But then some dipshit came along at one point and thought, oh, words are invented. No, they are not. They are discovered. And if you don't know how to reverse engineer sound out of Mother Nature, you're going to come up with bullshit. The energy is not going to match the birthing of the word, because the word matches the energy, which is true to Mother Nature. Because words are discovered. They are not invented. And every time a human invents a word, you can tell it's bullshit. It doesn't follow any of the taxonomy, the biology, the science. It's stupid. And it looks it. And now you've got the fingerprint you've got the mathematical psychology all over the place. But when you start looking into and this is where you can tell the difference between Old Norse, Old Irish. That's when you look into ancient Greece and Persian, is these were groups of people who knew that words were discovered, not invented. And Latin, that was discovered. But then you look over into late Latin, 16th century Latin, and that's invented. And you can tell it's invention. I'm like, all right, that's invented. That's man-made. That's garbage. And then you can see the mathematical psychology behind it. And then you can start tracking it and following it all over. And it's a mutation because it's man-made. It's not natural, because words are discovered. They're not invented, which is why rhombus is rhombus. And it's been rhombus for 3,000 years because it was discovered. So I'd have to look at the etymology of Nakama. Yeah, it's a state of being. It's self-loyalty that's been expanded onto somebody else for their own nourishment and yours, because nourishing them nourishes you. It's like a climbing buddy. It's a climbing buddy. You don't go mountain climbing alone. You take a buddy with you, because they're going to hoist you up to the next run. So you can grow. They are your growth. They are your growth nourishment partner. That's what Nakama is, your growth nourishment partner. It's your growth nourishment partner. That's the closest I've gotten, guys. Growth nourishment partner. Growth nourishment partner. They nourish my growth. Nourishment growth partner. Yeah, that's it right there. That's Nakama. They're your nourishment growth partner. That's it. A nourishment growth partner. Well, there's more truth in that sentence than anything I've said ever. Like that, the nourishment growth partner. I have a nourishment growth partner. It's our natural what we do. We nourish each other's growth. That's what we do. I'm going to figure out how to break that down. The nourishment growth partner. I have a growth partner. Yeah. And every time you get the words right, it's nourishing to get the words right. So there is no scientist in the world more greatly understood than the metaphysics scientist, the metaphysicist. No one. I'm an ontological physicist, which is a step beyond metaphysics. And I'm going, oh, great. Now people are really like, and trying to figure out how to get all of that over there and put it over here and then do the equivalent of, okay, here's the abstract, here's the material, but you guys have no common denominators for the stuff. So now, okay, Occam's razor. I would come up with a lot of vocab words in which to translate. Vocab words. Well, I've done that. I literally have an entire language glossary. So I'm more interested right now in why loneliness is so linked to being understood. Those two are like, my loneliness goes away when I am understood because we stand in the same state of being. And I think that's it. Loneliness and being understood stands us in the same state of being. And it's I want someone to join me in the state of being. But in order to do that, I require the understanding of my state of being. So yeah, that's why a lot of us just go off and be hermits. And this is a pickle for me. So for me, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to go off and be a hermit. I'm going to solve this problem. That way, all abstractics, all ontologists after me will be able to go, I am an ontological physicist and I understand this shit. And if you call me a madman, I will punch you in the face. Because I am not in saying you are illiterate. There's a difference. It's really offensive. Really offensive. But it's a sequence of understanding. That's it. It's a sequence of understanding. You're not going to understand 37 until you understand 1 through 37. So when someone comes at you at level 638, number 2 is looking at 638 going, wow, you're an idiot. No, I'm 638. You need knowledge from 2 to 638 in order to understand me. I'm not an idiot. I'm not insane. You're stupid. And then I see articles like, was he a madman? No, he's not a madman. You are that ignorant. It's genius abuse. That's what it is. It's abuse that the genius get from stupid people, which is probably why. No, it is why. Because I don't see it stopping. And then I see people judging. I'm a bitter bitch. Yeah, that's right. Because the uneducated are so sensitive about their lack of education that you can't even talk to them about it. But they're going to attack and assault the genius. And here's the thing is, it's done at different levels. The 4th perspectives do it to the 6ths. The 6ths do it to everybody higher than them. And it's just hurtful and painful. And then this stupid journalist, fucking insulting. Because I'm sitting here reading his work going, yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. Oh, it makes perfect sense. I can sit there and translate it for people. Once I figure out how. But the language is so, and this is it right here is Louis Wayne had this problem. where he didn't understand what was going on inside of him, and he was screaming, and he's like, I feel electricity, and I don't. You feel physics. Yeah, you can feel physics. And it's, I would love to just take somebody and walk them into my world and just dissect this and say, this is what it feels like. Because there's what it's being like in the abstract. Like, come into my office. Let me show you the world of the abstract. And that's what I do with all my writing at Kindle Vella. But then I also have me walking into your playing. And oh my God, that's a trip. I don't do it very often. And when I do that, it's painful. Because it's a constant reminder of, oh yeah, I'm a pioneer. And I'm an ancient Grecian who pioneers on the abstract. And that's probably the best way I can explain myself to people. And every time I meet somebody new, it's the same thing over and over again. They're trying to figure me out. It's at a point where, hi, I'm Anna. And they're like, oh, what do you do for a job? And I'm going, great, here we go again. I'm an ontological physicist. And then they do this. And I'm like, okay, I just see fear in your face. Maybe I'll say that to them next time. I just see you being afraid of me. And that's scary, and that hurts me because I just see fear. And what it comes down to is ignorant people think genius people will hurt them. And that's the delusion you're in, because you think your abusers were smarter than you. No, they weren't. Your abusers were more stupid than you. That's the delusion. So they made you think that you were smarter or stupider than them, so that when you see somebody who is smarter, you think, oh my God, I'm scared of you. No. But if I'm so smart, then how did I fall for it? Because you didn't study that kind of knowledge. That's why. So you associate all people smarter than you as being dangerous and abusive. But you never studied ethics, which is the problem. You lack ethical knowledge and you lack abuser knowledge. Which are the two kinds of knowledges that abusers use to abuse people. So then people come along and they see someone who really is smarter than them, really smarter than them, and they get scared. And there's also oh, you're not modest. I'm giving name to a problem that a lot of people have. So modesty is actually one of those massive things that abusers use to attack other people. So if I don't talk about this, then how do you know it's happening to you? Because 98% of us are born geniuses. 2% of us are still considered genius. Let me translate that for you. 98% of us are born genius. 2% of us are unabused. 96%, the other 2% aren't included in the original 98%. 96% of us are abused so much that we are geniuses covered up by our stupid. I was one of them. So 96% of the population is abused so horribly that they're stupid, even though they're geniuses. 96% of the population is stupid because abuse dumbed them down so they could be abused. Neuroscience says so. 96% of the population is stupid. Because if you were smart, you would still be the genius that you were when you were born with the 98% of us. Stupid is in relativity to how genius you are and have been dumbed down to. So yeah, 96% of us are stupid. And once you realize that your stupid is suppressing your genius, the world changes. But if we don't talk about it, you'll never know. And this is the problem. So now you've got 96% stupid people going, oh, well, you're not modest. You're arrogant. You need to know how stupid you are. Really. Because if you are part of that 96%, you're stupid, which means your stupid is covering up your genius. Neuroscience says so. So I free geniuses for a living. That's what I do. I free genius. That's what I do. I free geniuses. I free genius. I free the hidden genius inside of you. Oh my God, that is what I would really love to do. Freeing the genius inside of us. Now that I could get behind. I love freeing geniuses. I'm going to go contemplate this and think about it. So thank you. And may the kindest of words always find you.